Hey there, third grade. This is Mr. Campbell. Today we are going to be working on lesson 7.2, Make Picture Graphs. So this is going to be on page 257. And at the end of today, we want you to be able to say, I can make a picture graph to record information and answer questions about the data set. So all that is just to mean that we can look at different types of graphs and be able to answer questions about it. Well, we're going to start off right here. So if you've not gotten to page 257, pause the video right now so you can get there with us. Because we're going to take a look at over here what we've got. It says, Mary is helping her teacher count school playground equipment. She records the data in the frequency table. Use the data in the table to complete the picture graph. Then write 2 statements about your completed graph. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here for us a little bit more so we can see just a little bit better. And again, if you're not there, pause the video so you can follow along. So here's our data, all right? And in our data, it tells us that we have got all these different types of school playground equipment. We've got basketballs, jump ropes, we've got bats, and soccer balls. All right, these are called tallies, and for tallies, they're just little lines, and then we put this cross line like that to make groups of 5. So then I can easily skip count by 5 and 10, which is how many that is. So each of these is showing us going across our different ones. So we've got the equipment, the tallies, and then the number that goes with that tally. Well, they want us to switch it up a little bit. And so for a picture graph, what that means is we're actually going to use a picture. We're not using tallies. We're not using numbers. We're going to use a picture. And when we do this, we want to make them look as close to all the same as possible so that way when we look at them, they can look similar. So I don't want to make like a really big basketball up here and then for jump ropes a little teeny tiny one. I want to try to make them as close as possible. But when we do this, our symbols here, so the basketball, is not just going to equal 1. So I'm not going to just look and go basketballs, I need 10. Because it says for every basketball, that's going to equal 2 items. So whenever I make a basketball, I need to count by 2s. So let's start here. So basketball, I need 10 of them. So let's go ahead. You can grab your pencil and do this one with me. I'm going to count by 2s every time I make a circle for a ball, and we're going to get up to 10. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. All right. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And I'm just going to stop there. You can add the details if you want to, but a lot of times that's just extra work that we don't really need to do. Well, let's look at jump ropes. How many jump ropes do we have? Well, we've got 10. Am I going to draw jump ropes here? No, it's already told me this is what I'm using. All right. So I got to count by 2s to get to 10. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. All right, there we go. Easy enough. All right, my next one is baseball bats. I'm still using this ball as our picture. So we want to get to, it's just 5. So let's do 5. So we've got 2, 4. If I make another whole 1, it's going to be 6. 2, 4, 6. But I don't have 6 bats, do I? No, I have 5 bats. Well, if each of these is 2, how do I just do 1? Well, I'm going to make half of a ball, all right? So I'm going to make a half of a ball just like that, all right? It's not all the way around. It's not a full circle. If you've got your pencil, you could make a full circle and then erase half of it, or you can just draw your half circle like that. All right, my next one is soccer balls. I've got 5, 10, 15. All right, so we got to count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Same thing. I've got an odd number, so I need to make a half as my last one. All right. So that's how we can make our picture graph. We're going to turn to the next page and keep on working on this because this is what we're going to look at, and then we'll answer some questions about these different ones. So turn with me to page 258. Here we are on page 258, and I'm going to go ahead and read. You can follow along with me. We're going to start up here. It says, Sam recorded the number of each type of bicycle a store sold during 1 month. He made a frequency table. Use the table to make a picture graph. A frequency table, frequency means like how often something happens. Frequent, it means how often, all right? So he made a table of how often different types of bikes were sold. It says you can also collect data with a survey by asking people questions. And sometimes we do that too. We ask, like, what's your favorite type of food or what's your favorite color? Those are surveys, which is a different way for us to get data. Frequency table is when we keep track of how many of something is done. A survey is by asking people questions, but they always kind of end up in a data table similar to this. All right. So here I've got my types of bicycles. So road, track, training, and racing. We've got our tallies. So those are groups of 5. And then we've got our total numbers over here of how many tallies those were. All right, so let's go down here to box B. It says, write a title for the picture graph. Well, if we're drawing a picture graph here, we need to be able to write some sort of title. And so this one, the title is kinds of bicycles sold. It will always be at the top, just like in our frequency table. It helps us to be able to say, oh, I know what this is actually giving us, what type of information. So it says choose a symbol for the key. Decide what each symbol will represent and a half symbol will represent. So in this case, they saw, ooh, we've got a lot of bicycles. So I don't want my symbol to equal 1. And they even went so far as to say, I don't even want it to equal 2. Nope. They wanted theirs. If it's a full triangle, it means 10 bicycles. And if it's a half triangle, it means 5 bicycles. And a half symbol is used to represent 5 because 5 is half of 10. When we've got these two, I couldn't make this 10 and make this 2 because it's half. And half means what are 2 equal parts that'll make that whole. 2 equal 5s will make 10, which is why it's 1/2. You can see down here, they made our key right down here. Each full triangle is equal to 10 bicycles. Each half triangle equals 5 bicycles. We've already got our kinds of bicycles sold, right? And so now we can look at this and they put in the rest of our information. So I'm going to come up here and go, so for a road bicycle, we needed 10. Well, that's 1 full triangle, all right? For a track bicycle, we had 20. So that would be 10, 20. For a training bicycle, we needed 15. So that'd be 10 plus a half is 5 more. And then our last one, a racing, was just 10. So we have 1 full triangle. All right. So we can draw all these different parts to make our own pictograph. And then we can also answer some questions about it. Well, let's go ahead and go to the next page and look at our guided practice for today. Here we are on page 259, and it says, in number 1 and 2, use the picture graph on the previous page. So I told you we can use our picture graphs to answer questions. So I'm going to go ahead and slide the other page right up here. So it's right next to it. So we've got our picture graph over here, and we've got our questions. Number 1 says, explain the symbols that were used for the number of training bicycles sold. All right, explain the symbols. Well, our symbols for the training, I find training over here, and I see I had a full triangle and a half triangle. All right, so how would I explain that? Well, I would say I had a triangle and a half triangle, okay, and full triangles are 10 bikes. Half triangles are 5 bikes. All right, so 10 and 5, so that equals 15 bikes. All right, I'm just explaining what those symbols were. All right, now let's slide down here. It says, if the scale used in the key were triangle is equal to 2 bikes, how many symbols would be used for the number of road bicycles sold? And then what about for the track bicycles? So this is asking us if we changed the key here. So we're going to change this. A full is equal to 2. All right. And we want to start off with road bicycles. So I come over here and go, all right, road bicycles had 1 triangle. So that would be 2 bicycles. So 2 bicycles. All right. Now it says, what about track bicycles? So again, I'm going to come over here, and if each of these is worth 2, I'm going to count by 2s. 2, 4. And then we would say 4 bicycles. All right. So again, we can use our pictograph to answer different types of questions about them. Well, let's go ahead and slide over here to number 3, and we'll check out this one. It says use the table to complete the picture graph. So here's our table. All right, and I'm going to ask you real fast. Would you put your finger on the title of our data sheet? Where's the title? Yeah, the title is up here, favorite school lunches, right? All right, and then could you please put your finger on the tallies? Like, where are the tallies at? Hey, we got tallies right here. Perfect. All right, well, now we're going to make this picture graph. We're going to use the information up here for our picture graph down here. So down here, would you put your finger on the title? The title actually has stayed the same, favorite school lunches. All right. And now, down below, would you find where we've got our symbols? Like, what symbols are we using? Hey, they're down here. We've got a sack lunch is equal to 2 votes, and half of a sack lunch is equal to 1 vote. All right. So we're going to use our data from up here. They were asked about their favorite types of school lunch. So let's go ahead and start with tacos. All right. Tacos. So let's see. How many tacos were voted for? We had 2 tallies. So the answer is 2. How many paper bags do I need? Just 1. So for my paper bag, I like to just kind of make a rectangle with a small rectangle on top. Nothing too fancy for me. All right, there's mine. And that's worth, a full paper bag is worth 2. And that's what we had. All right, next up, we've got pizza. How many pizzas were there? Well, there's 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so we've got 8. So whenever I draw a paper bag, it's going to be 2. So let's go ahead and do that. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8. All right. And that's the other reason why it's good to make these really simple, like just a rectangle with a rectangle on top, is so you can keep going. If you were trying to draw this exact picture, it probably would have taken you a lot longer. All right. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8. Perfect. All right. And now let's look at salad. How many people voted for salad? Well, we had 1, 2, 3. All right. So, when I'm counting by 2s, I only go 2, 4, and that's too much. Well, let's go ahead and start with our first one. So we've got 2, and I only need 1 more. So how do I make a half a vote or a 1 vote? I do half of a paper bag. So I'm going to go ahead and carefully draw it just like that. And notice that I didn't even draw in the other side. I left it wide open so that way anybody who would look would go, oh, that's a half of a bag. All right. Let me ask you a quick question. Could you put your finger on whichever one had the most votes? Which of our school lunches had the most votes? I hope you put your finger on pizza because that one had the most next to it. Now, which one has the least amount of votes? Which one has the least votes? It'll be tacos, right? Tacos only had 2 votes for it. So that would be our least. And again, when we look at this picture, it's easy for us to see those different parts. Well, let's go ahead and slide down here to our independent practice next. All right, for numbers 4, 5, and 6, we're going to do these together, but make sure you've got your pencil and you're following along with me. I'm going to ask you some questions as we go. I want you to answer them. So I really want you to have your brains turned on. You're thinking about these different parts, okay? All right, so it says in 4 through 6, use the data in the chart. Number 4 says complete the picture graph. Now, when I start off here, the first thing I need to do is ask, what is the title of my graph? So my title is, there is no title here. Would you please go ahead and find where would we get the answer for what our title should be? Well, I hope you looked over here and saw, oh, we've got our title right over here. So we're going to do that right here. We're going to copy the same one. Goals, each team scored. And I'm going to be going through, and if I keep going and you're still working on a part, I want you to pause, okay? You can always pause the video. It's not a problem, all right? Pause the video if I'm going too fast and get caught up. All right, well, now I need to go, okay, what are my symbols in this one? And so when I look down here, it says, well, I've got my circle equals blank goals. Each half circle equals blank goals. Excuse me. So I got to ask the question, well, how many goals do I want to make those? Well, let's ask ourselves some questions. So Do I want to do 2 goals and then each half is worth 1? My total numbers over here are 10, 20, 30, and 15. Those are bigger numbers. But I see that they're all at least 10. So maybe I could make my whole circle 10 goals, right? Let's start there. So put 10 over here. All right, here's my question for you, though. If a whole circle is equal to 10 goals, a half circle is going to equal how many goals? Well, what would be half of 10? Well, half of 10 is 5, right? So half a circle would equal 5 goals. Now that I've done this, now I can go ahead and finish the rest of my picture graph. So would you go ahead and check it out? So Cubs had 10 as theirs, right? They had 10. So I need 1 circle because that's worth 10 goals. All right, I'm going to ask you to pause the video right now, and then would you finish up these last 3 right here? How many would we need for each of those? Go ahead and pause the video. If you haven't paused the video, do it now, because I want you to try this out. This is you getting a chance to see if you understand this concept. So Hawks had 20, so that would be 10, 20. The Lions had 30, so that would be 10, 20, 30. And the Roadrunners had 15. Well, I've got 10, and then I need 5 more, and that's going to be a half circle, right? So I'm going to go ahead and make a half circle just like that. All right. Does yours look like mine? I sure hope so. I hope you were able to pause the video and try those out. All right, now we've got a couple of questions about our graph. So it says, which 2 teams scored more goals? The Cubs and Lions or the Hawks and Roadrunners? So we want to look at the Cubs and the Lions. Well, they had 10, 20, 30, 40. All right, so I'm going to put CL equals 40. Cubs and Lions equals 40. And then it says, or the Hawks and Roadrunners. So HR. And how many did they have? 10, 20, 30, 35. So who had more? Cubs and Lions. All right, we were able to use our graph to answer that. All right, explain how you decided the number of each symbol to draw to show the goals for the Roadrunners. So the Roadrunners had a whole circle and then a half. So we would say the circle, so I'm just going to draw a circle, is 10 goals. The half circle, so I just drew that, is 5 goals. 10 plus 5 equals 15 goals. All right. That's just an easy way for us to say we saw we needed 15, so we needed a whole and a half to get to that 15. All right. Well, thanks so much for working so hard with me today. I know this was a little bit longer of a lesson, but we can use these different types of tables and graphs to be able to answer questions just like we did. Well, you guys did an awesome job today. I hope you have a great rest of the day. We will see you next time. Have a good day, 3rd grade.